There was a time when Halo meant something for me. Halo was one of my favorite games growing up. Playing it with my friends after school, and I still remember playing Halo 3 the day that it came out, man, it was magical. Campaign Evolved, however, is almost upon us, and the results have been, well, mixed, but it's also telling me another thing, which is that these companies kind of think that we're stupid. They're giving us humiliation rituals, and it's pretty evident the further that you look into these sorts of projects, that the cracks have never been more obvious than they are right now. As seen here, Halo's first outing on PlayStation sits at an 81 on Metacritic, which is kind of where I thought it would be, although it still holds nothing compared to the original Halo's Metacritic scores because, well, Bungie didn't work on these and it shows. For example, watch this clip.
Nice work.
Thanks. Spartans aren't the only badasses in the UNSC. So, did you take out the Prophet?
Negative.
So, did you take out the Prophet?
Oh boy, a female ODST that breaks Chief's balls and acts like she's superior to him. Thanks, 343, Halo Studios. That's definitely what Halo needed right now, more modern audience slop. You see, the original Halo barely had any female characters in it. And honestly, that was glorious, and if you were going to add a new character, could you not have picked someone so generic at least? Well, don't worry guys, because we have scenes now where we have prophets introducing their alien buddies like it's a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Don't believe me? Okay, watch this clip.
Here you can observe the true beauty of the Covenant. Our collective strength a reflection of each member's devotion. The tenacity of the Ungor. The cleverness of the Kigya. The Sangheili. Long our partner since the writ of union, the burning edge of the Covenant's blade. And the Jiralhane. What they lack in mind, they make up for in muscle.
I really don't know how you can defend that sort of thing when the original Halo was meant to be this isolationist story somewhat, about a lone cyborg-like man with his AI robot friend in his head who occasionally runs into other people. But generally speaking, he's trekking alone across this foreign landscape to save humanity from this alien threat. It's amazing. Or how about this clip with how they introduce Sergeant Johnson? Watch this too.
Just couldn't save any from me, could you? Been a while since I gotta take old Sophie out for a spin. Are you ready to get to it?
And wow, that looked and sounded awful, and I don't know about you guys, but the facial animations look kind of weird to me. Everything shown so far, it looks like Halo, sort of, but kind of isn't like Halo, if that kind of makes sense. It's more so like a skinwalker wearing the skin of Halo and pretending like it knows what it wants to be, but everything just feels off. It doesn't feel like what Bungie did, and I would be pretty frank here, but if Halo, let's pretend for a moment, launched as a completely new Xbox IP right now, like we don't know what Halo is, right? And this was the first game in this new series that we're finally seeing for the first time, and it looks the same in everything. I personally don't think that Halo would become the same mega blockbuster if it looked, sounded, or played the way that it did here, because there's just something weird going on. It isn't Bungie, it's just a game that's made by people, and it feels like it lacks any discernible identity to me. Well, it turns out that's, well, sort of the case, as Windows Central confirmed here. here. Halo Campaign Evolved is not really an in-studio project. In fact, the vast majority of the people who worked on this game were actually outsourced through contractor work. This report came from Mr. Rebs Gaming, who, as Windows Central shows here, said a lot of outsourcing was used to create Campaign Evolved, even for core programming and design, so much so that it's not really an in-studio project. Well, that doesn't fill me with any confidence. Apparently, Halo Studios was more in an overseer managerial role when this game was being made, opposed to actually developing it themselves, which kind of explains everything that we're seeing so far, why these new characters don't feel like classic Halo characters, why people like Johnson maybe sound like Johnson, but they don't feel like him, if that makes sense. Everything is just off slightly. Apparently Abstraction, that's a support studio that has worked with Virtuous, which are the studios that helped do the remasters of Oblivion and Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, also worked on this remake too. To be real with you guys, the better scenario, and this is in my opinion, let me know what you think, but I think it would have just been better to just port the Bungie Halo games as they were. And I mean the original ones when they first came out, right? Just straight to PlayStation 5, same graphics, same everything, with the multiplayer intact, with none of these modern enhancements that Halo Studios is trying to tout as being necessary, because they aren't. Because it's so very obvious that this game was made by people who were just not involved with the original Halo. It looks like the equivalent of going to a flea market and finding vintage Pokemon cards that are very cheap, but then realizing, oh, they're cheap because, well, they're actually fake, and the closer you look, the more wrong everything is. Nothing about what we're seeing here makes me go, wow, I would love to see the other Halo games done in the same way. But in fact, that's what's actually happening. As Windows Central reported in May this year, as you can see, Halo 2 and 3 are also being remade allegedly similar to this, which, I gotta be real, I don't think that's a good thing. This feels like a bastardization of something people love that is just being done to, in like a sense, to erase what the original Bungie team did, which is a big no-no. Actually, a good way of looking at these remakes is sort of like how, you know how Disney does their live action remakes, you know what I mean? The Lion King one, Little Mermaid, especially Snow White, how they are absolutely nowhere near the same quality as those original animated films, and we all know that, but Disney still remade them anyways into live action, or CGI, I guess in Lion King's case. It's not live action obviously, but whatever, because they did that because they knew it would print money. Well, Snow White didn't because, well, Rachel Zegler sucks, but you get the idea, okay? That's sort of like how I look at this Halo remake, or demake if you ask me. It just exists because Microsoft knows people like Halo, that they will play anything Halo that has it on the box or something at release, regardless if it's better or worse, because people are just starved for this franchise. Bafflingly, all the early impressions that you're seeing online and where these clips that I'm showing that are coming from, they are all by people who, well, paid extra money for 5 days of early access. God rest their souls. Gotta love modern AAA gaming, guys. Oh yeah, here's your remake of a game made by none of the original people where you pay more to play it early. Thanks, Microsoft. Very cool. Really preying on people's nostalgia there to get any extra dollars that you can out of them. But the whole thing kind of just feels, I don't know, pointless to me. I'm not saying don't play Campaign Evolved. I mean, it is a somewhat big release in a sense, I guess. It's Halo, for crying out loud, on a Sony console, so I get the importance here, but personally, I think if this is the direction that we're going in for these remakes, it might be better to just port the originals, I gotta be real. Because a lot of the quirks and what makes Halo unique, it feels absent here. Again, the cutscenes, they feel like a de-evolution of what was made over 20 years ago already. For example, in Halo Campaign Evolved, invisible enemies now, well, they're not even fully invisible. Instead, because it has to be made for a modern gaming audience, the invisible enemies have red arrows over them the entire time, which makes the existence of invisible enemies who are meant to be perceived as threats that you can't see, well, kind of pointless. I'm not even kidding. Watch this clip.
Wow, this must be it. Yeah, thanks, Keys. Cortana already told me that they're using... What? Surely that is the clearest example right there. Hey, watch out, Chief. These elites are using active camo, and then you walk through the door
and there's big markers over the invisible elites to tell you where they are. To tell you exactly where they are.
Yeah, that's pointless, right? If we're gonna put red arrows over invisible enemies, then why even have them be invisible in the first place? It's like modern gaming dev philosophy does anything that it can to ensure that we are treated like idiots on purpose all of the time. Although I do find it interesting that the annoying girl boss ODST lady that you saw earlier was suspiciously hidden from all marketing and trailers. Almost as if Xbox wanted to ensure they could add a strong female character to this world that Bungie would have never allowed to exist themselves. Because Bungie actually knew how to make good female characters, right? Miranda, Cortana, Kat, all great characters that weren't condescending or annoying, and that's really, really good of them to do, by the way. But instead, those female characters, what did they do? Right, they enhanced the story and everybody else around them. In this version as well, even things like Cortana saying "sawed off" is changed, and the pacing of the scenes, they feel far slower, and if I may say, worse by comparison. So take this example of the Chief, 343 Guilty Spark, and Cortana from campaign Evolved versus the original game. Please watch this too.
That is absolutely unacceptable.
And yet...
What impertinence! I shall purge you at once. That is absolutely unacceptable.
Sawed off!
What impertinence! I shall purge you at once.
Enough. The flood is spreading. If we activate Halo's defenses, we can wipe them out. Enough! The flood is spreading. If we activate Halo's defenses, we can wipe them out.
Yeah, that just kind of feels worse to me. There's a sense of video gaminess to Bungie's version that I really like. It's far snappier, it's to the point, as if Bungie knew that you wanted to just keep playing the game because it was fun. So they ensured that when there was a cutscene, it still moved quick, it got to the point fast, and then it kept going. This new version just, it doesn't feel like it, man. And my God, is it dark? Why is everything so dark in the cutscenes? I'm not even kidding, by the way. They even changed the Captain Keyes scene, which is, well, again, you just have to see it for yourselves. So here, watch this too.
Don't keep it loaded, son. You'll have to find ammo as you go.
If all goes well, we'll rendezvous on the object's surface. And if it doesn't, make sure my daughter gets this. I see you've kept her safe. She's in good hands.
Did you notice how Bungie's version was way snappier? It got to the point right away and it puts you back into the gameplay quickly, whereas the new version takes way longer with drawn out pauses, and yet it wastes your time to convey the same message that Bungie already made. Even Sergeant Johnson's speech, it feels different in the remake. So here's the original speech that Sergeant Johnson gives in Halo, and then after that I will play the clip from the remake of the same scene. You tell me which is better in the comments. Please watch this too. Again,
man, here's where we show those split-chin, squid-head sons of bitches that they could not have picked a worse enemy than the human race. We are going to blow the hell out of those dumb bugs until we don't have anything left to shoot them with. And then we are going to strangle them with their own living guts. Am I right, Marines?
Sir, yes, sir!
Damn right I am.
And here's where we show those split-chinned, squid-headed sons of bitches they couldn't have picked a worse enemy than the human race. We are going to blow the hell out of those dumb bugs until we don't have anything left to shoot them with. And then we are gonna strangle them with their own living guts. Am I right, Marines?
Sir, yes, sir!
Damn right I am.
Did you notice how the original is far snappier, way quicker, and it's to the point? There's no room for doubt or even boredom. Because Bungie, again, they understood that if they need to stop the gameplay, it needs to be for a good reason. In the remake, Johnson is stopping in between sentences. He's spinning around more, and even his "damn right I am" part, it doesn't have the same gravitas that it originally did. So why even remake this at this point based on all of this and more, right? The game also has things like sprinting, which is bizarre to me, because the original game did not have that. It also has third person. I'm not opposed to that. I think that's fine if they want to add it, I guess. Personally, I don't really want to play Halo in third person. It's not really a third person game to me. It's fine when using like the minigun in Halo 3. That made sense. But I'm not really opposed to that. So if you like the whole third person gameplay, that's fine. But the game, in my opinion, was not really designed for sprinting. At least Halo 1 wasn't. It also technically messes up Marty O'Donnell's legendary original soundtrack too, because he originally tailor-made songs to match the moments that Bungie designers created so that everything would flow perfectly and hit the mood right. Now with sprint added and all manner of things in other Halo games, like not really anymore, you know? Like they also added brutes to some of the missions, which obviously any Halo fan knows the brutes don't show up in these games until really Halo 2 for Bungie. I mean, well, obviously the brutes existed, I guess, in retrospect, but they didn't exist in the games, and that's the point. But for Bungie, well, they're just in Halo 1 now because, well, it's not Bungie making the game. The reality is that Xbox, under Asha Sharma, is in a really weird spot. Not entirely her doing, I know that. She just inherited this crumbling empire a few months ago, but it's become very clear that Halo as a brand is not being made in-house anymore. It is being made effectively by developers who either never worked on Halo or were just there to mimic what was done before and hope you don't notice. Crazily enough, though, Asha Sharma actually is a part of the federal task force in America. She's a part of productivity and jobs for the United States, if you didn't know. And recently, however, a politician named Riley Moore claims that Asha Sharma is actually replacing American workers with H-1B1 visa workers from India instead when it comes to places like Xbox in general. I'll let Riley Moore explain it himself, so again, please watch this clip.
So they get their H-1B visa approved, and then they get fired from Microsoft. Congressman, you sent a letter to Federal Reserve Chairman Kevin Warsh after the CEO of Xbox was appointed to the Fed's Productivity and Jobs Task Force. Have you heard back?
I've not heard back. You know, it's a little breaking news. I just sent this late afternoon yesterday before we headed to the floor, and I want her removed. I mean, so she's the head of productivity and jobs on this task force. I mean, I guess what's the strategy? Fire your workforce and apply for H-1B visas. I think the H-1B visa program needs to be done away with. I think it's a scam. I think it's replacing our people here in the United States. We are a country. We're not an international free trade zone where everybody can come in and compete for our jobs. The American worker is the only worker in the world that has to compete with workers from all over the world inside their own borders. And we have millions of people graduating college and technical school and trade school every year who are being outbid in terms of wages, not outworked. And I don't think that that's right. I think we need to get rid of the H-1B visa program.
Yeah, and you recently wrote an op-ed for Fox News Digital about it, the need to address issues with the H-1B visa approval process. Walk us through what can be done here, because, you know, you talk with CEOs out there of global businesses, and they're all in on the H-1B visa process and hiring people who have those visas. What are your concerns?
Well, and look, I get why they're for it. I mean, they get to import cheap foreign labor from all over the world. But look, we are a country. Citizens do have, I think, some type of exclusivity.
So as you all saw, Riley Moore is claiming that Asha Sharma is using her position to flood Xbox with cheaper labor workforces, allegedly, which wouldn't surprise me if that was true in the slightest, since this is, well, not unique to Xbox. However, it is interesting how this was found out and pushed on live television, and now we're looking at Halo in this video, and we're seeing how the game is being remade out of the studio by contract workers who are not situated at Halo Studios or worked at Bungie, and it would not be surprising to me if Halo Campaign Evolved was made in part by developers, maybe not from India, but they could be, but just countries outside of the United States in general. Again, I'm not claiming that Asha Sharma used H-1B1 visa workers to make Halo. Abstraction, for example, which did work on Halo Campaign Evolved, are actually situated in the Netherlands, for example, but it would not be out of the realm of possibility, and that's the point. That the future of Xbox games, especially in a remake sense, would be created by developers in countries where none of the devs involved really had anything to do with the creation of these franchises in the first place. I can confidently say, however, based on what I have seen from Halo Campaign Evolved so far, that there are definitely things being changed about the series that I don't agree with. Again, I would much rather have the old Bungie Halo games just ported over the way they are, and that's it. I wouldn't care if they're not in 4K or have super realistic facial animations. Halo is Halo to me because of the original Bungie developers who made the game. I love that version version, because their version of Halo is zero fluff. It's all meat, no fat, and that's why I loved it so much and why I replayed the game so many times. And also the fact that this Halo release, which is, as Canadian PSN shows here, it's $70. But weirdly too, the game has no multiplayer, which feels like such a missed opportunity to me. Yes, I know the original Halo 1 was mostly just land-based parties with your friends, I get that, and those were awesome. But they could have at least added online multiplayer to this with the same maps and everything, right? Couldn't they? The fact that it's just the campaign feels weird to me, as if we're just getting less of the original game, but it's still charging up as if it's a premium game. Like, I don't know, that doesn't sit right with me. Even IGN is seen here in their review, they state the remake doesn't feel essential, and yeah, I actually agree with IGN on this one, which is kind of wild. IGN overall says in their review that the game's graphical quality is a little all over the place. There's weird blurs apparently around your guns when you're running, and a bizarre film grain-like filter placed over the game as well. Although they do say, and many reviews say this as well, that the game is still fun to play. Like, it is Halo, right? You shoot stuff, things blow up, you get the idea. It's meat and potatoes Halo in terms of gameplay. As long as you adhere to what Bungie originally created, you can replicate it mostly. But the fact that its visual presentation is teetering on looking good, but not really at times, and the cutscenes are changed to, well, not for the better, and the pacing of the game just feels off because of unneeded things being added like sprints or weird pauses in cutscenes. I keep circling back to the same thought here, guys. They should have just ported the original Halo games. I would have loved Bungie Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, and Reach coming to PlayStation, and all they did, maybe at best, was, I don't know, up the frame rate. Maybe they upscaled the visuals a bit here and there, but everything else was just kept intact the exact way that Bungie did it. But I don't think Halo Studios would want to do that, because they know if they did that, they wouldn't be able to reach that level of quality, because they know that they're not Bungie, especially not Bungie in their golden age. So instead of doing that, I think that's why this remake changes so much, because it runs the risk of no longer really being the same game anymore, you know, and they kind of want you to forget about the Bungie games, but like, come on, those games are legendary for a reason. I'm not saying that Halo Campaign Evolve is going to be a bad game. It's just that what we had before was so masterfully done by OG Bungie. Like, come on, dude. Like, can we agree? Is this one thing we can agree on anything? The original Halo games were freaking top tier, man. 10 out of 10. Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, and especially Reach. Like, I honestly thought Reach would be... There's no way Reach was going to outdo Halo 3. There's no way. And then I play Reach and I'm like, those freaking Bungie guys, man. Again, they made an amazing... I love Reach so much, man. That game's amazing. Oh, it's so great. But that's what I mean, right? I just want those games again. I don't really want this remixed, remastered version, but it's not what they made, if that makes sense. And to get what we're getting here now in 2026 with all the lessons learned, both good and hard, in Halo under Microsoft, that for this to be the endgame result, it kind of feels undercooked to me. It's kind of a shame, but it's becoming normalized, since I think the more we see games getting remade these days, the more likely this is going to be the end result now. Lots of changes nobody asked for, things not looking or sounding right, but as long as just enough is kept intact to justify the add to cart and purchase, they're going to keep doing it. After all, it worked for Oblivion. Why not here too, right? I mean, this is Halo. People like Halo. Who cares if the animations look odd or lifeless? It was probably done by some contractor outside of Halo Studios anyways, right? Xbox will like you to think. But my problem with a lot of this is how Xbox or whoever wants to make their games going forward. It makes me wonder, well, how can future games then be made if the identity of these projects are not being made by a centralized team that has become masters of making this sort of game in the first place, right? A great example and a pivot is Nintendo, right? Their first party games are great because Nintendo, while yes, they too might use outsourcing to some degree as well, typically the vast majority of game development is done in-house in Nintendo itself with their own employees who have been there since forever. It's very rare for Nintendo to actually look to outside help to make their first party games, which is why it was actually surprising to find out that Monolith Soft, the Xenoblade team, ended up actually working with Nintendo internally on making the Legend of Zelda games for Switch like Breath and Tears. Monolith Soft was brought onto those projects because they knew how to make open world environments, and if you played Xenoblade, you would know what I'm talking about. So that was a change that was unique, right? Very uncharacteristic of Nintendo, but it worked out, and now Monolith Soft might as well as be a Nintendo studio, since, well, all their games released there exclusively now, but that's my point. The reason why Nintendo was able to release so many high quality titles consistently, by the way, is because the team there is cultivated and protected. So when a new game gets made in, let's say, Zelda, Mario, Mario, Xenoblade, or more, the people that work on those games are better and faster at what they do because they have the talent, the skill, and the knowledge that is built on making the previous games already. This is why, in a sense, Nintendo's games keep getting better and better, right? Whereas for Xbox, I mean, looking at Halo right now, this game is made by the hands of many people who've maybe never even met in person. They have no idea what makes Halo Halo because they did not make Halo. This would be a different story if, let's say, OG Bungie came back together to remake this Halo game or make a new Halo game. Oh my god, that would sell gangbusters, dude. That would be huge because they know Halo, just like how Nintendo's teams know Mario or Zelda. But when you have a bunch of random people across the planet working on Halo and outsourcing it all, well, what you get is what you're getting pretty much is the point. It's why I have zero to no confidence in future Halo games. I haven't had confidence in Halo since Bungie made it pretty much. Like, how could I? There's no connective tissue here whatsoever. If Halo Studios barely worked on a game called Halo Campaign Evolved, then what are we doing? What's the end game goal here? Just have Halo Studio developers in managerial positions overseeing what a bunch of H-1B1 visa workers are making for Halo, and then piecing it together with, say, hot glue and duct tape and hoping that nobody notices the changes? Is that really the future of game development? It feels and sounds bleak to me. I think the way the cutscenes look and such is such a dead giveaway that the people who worked on this did not work on Halo at all, because if they did, they would have spotted those problems and rectified them instead of releasing it the way that they did. It just feels like to me, and I hope I'm wrong by the way, that Halo and really Microsoft's Xbox studios in general are mostly now just trying to make their games for cheaper, but in contrast, the games themselves and the quality will suffer too. The only team Microsoft seems to care about at all is Playground, and we can tell that because every Forza game does amazing, sells well, reviews well, plays great, and they're consistent releases. That's what you want to see from a studio backed by Microsoft money, by the way, but it's so bizarre to me that with Halo, that just isn't the case. They made a whole studio in 343 Industries to shepherd Halo for the future, but now these games aren't being made in-house anymore. So is Halo 2 and 3 going to be remade the same way as well? Are they just going to look and sound just enough like what you remember so that you'll buy it, but under the hood it's clearly not the same build? I don't know, man. I'm not crazy about that. I gotta be real. Just kind of seems like a missed opportunity to really foster Halo the same way that Microsoft has done with Forza. Like, we know that it's possible, it's just not being done that way. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it requires a level of oversight Xbox can't manage in its current form. But this is Halo, right? Isn't this supposed to be the crown jewel in your Xbox crown? Why make the games like this? How are we supposed to foster the talent and identity when 95% of the people who made the game are from all over the planet? Maybe the belief is the people at Halo Studios know Halo, and they are supposed to be the shepherds, I guess. And so as long in theory that they're there, overseeing everything, the games will then come together regardless. I mean, maybe, I guess. But if these are the same people that were a part of 343 Industries, doesn't that prove that they don't understand Halo then, given that Halo 4, 5, and Infinite weren't received with praise either? It just kind of feels bizarre to me is all. I'm not saying boycott the game. Hey, if you like Halo, you do you. It's fine. It's just that what's on display here clearly feels off to me. It's like looking at a bundle of bread and you want to eat a slice, but you notice there's some mold growing on the bread, and the person selling it to you has a big smile on their face like, oh, don't worry, it's only a single slice of bread that has mold. The rest is fine. I mean, maybe, but that moldy slice is, touching the rest of the bread. I don't think I want to just eat it, just to be safe. That's kind of Halo, right? Maybe its future is bright. I don't know. This is all a nothing burger. Maybe it's growing pains, but future remakes will be banging. We'll see. But right now, it feels like Microsoft wants us to believe them, and they kind of think that we're stupid. But hey, as long as it has the guy in the green armor in the game shooting stuff, it's still Halo, right? As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to. What should I cover next? Let me know. See you guys next time.